flight attendants took off their stockings in front of all passengers. Because the plane's landing gear had malfunctioned, they had to prepare for an emergency landing. They removed their stockings to avoid burns in case of fire. Then, she also asked the passengers to remove all their jewelry. The plane had only just taken off. The captain noticed the landing gear indicator light was abnormal. What should have been green turned into a dangerous red. After multiple attempts failed, he immediately reported to the control tower and prepared to return. But the landing gear could not be lowered. Even returning would not allow a safe landing. When passengers heard about the return, they immediately became restless and anxious. Some complained that their itinerary was delayed. Some cried out in panic. Some started writing their wills. In the face of life and death, human fragility and truth were exposed. But the flight attendants still worked to maintain order. Facing passengers' doubts and insults, they could only respond with smiles. In the cockpit, the captain and first officer tried everything, from sharp turns in the air to forcing the plane to climb in an attempt to shake the landing gear loose. But the red indicator light never went off. The chief controller had only one last method left: to land the plane tail first and quickly pull up the moment the rear landing gear touched the ground. Using vibration and reaction force to force the gear down, the ground control rushed into action. Fire trucks, medics, and armed police waited along the runway. Firefighters sprayed foam quickly, but it only covered a short section of the runway. The chances of a successful emergency landing were slim, yet no one backed down. As fuel kept running low, the captain realized there was no choice left. Under immense pressure, he kept gagging. He pounded the walls in frustration. At that moment, the chief flight attendant handed him a towel. He calmly gave the final orders. Flight attendants moved passengers to the rear cabin, teaching them crash positions. The captain and crew stayed in the most dangerous cockpit. Finally, the plane began descending. The cabin lights went out. Flight attendants loudly directed passengers to prepare. The captain pulled the controls desperately, trying to slow the plane. The rear landing gear touched down first. The plane slid continuously on the fire retardant foam. The captain pulled the controls to lift the nose, avoiding an explosion of the fuel tanks. But the foam section was not long enough. The nose sparked from friction. Fire trucks outside were ready to extinguish fire at any moment. Fortunately, the plane reached the last foam section. After a tense slide, the plane finally came to a stop. Emergency slides were deployed. Passengers slid down one by one, under the protection of firefighters and armed police. Everyone evacuated safely. 137 lives were saved in this miraculous emergency landing. When the chief flight attendant ran back to the cockpit, the captain was slumped in his seat. Sweat drenched his entire body, but his face carried a relieved smile.